3 transmissions failed in my shop last month. All 3 were perfectly healthy before their owners changed the transmission fluid. Within 2 weeks of service, all 3 developed slipping harsh shifts and eventual complete failure. Repair cost for each? Between $5,500 and $7,200. These weren't coincidences. These were predictable failures caused by well-intentioned maintenance done the wrong way at the wrong time. Here's what terrifies me. Thousands of Lexus owners are being told by quick-lube shops, YouTube videos, and even some dealerships to change their transmission fluid. They're following advice that sounds logical, but actually destroys transmissions. I've been rebuilding transmissions for 28 years. I've seen this exact scenario play out hundreds of times. An owner with a perfectly functioning transmission gets talked into fluid service, and within days or weeks, catastrophic failure occurs. Today, I'm revealing the truth about Lexus transmission fluid that almost nobody tells you. This information contradicts what you've heard from shops, from forums, and from other mechanics, but it's based on decades of real-world experience watching transmissions fail or succeed based on fluid service decisions. Keep watching, because the knowledge in this video could be the difference between a transmission that lasts 300,000 miles and one that fails at 120,000 miles. Let's talk about transmission fluid the right way. The dangerous myth about transmission fluid. Here's the advice circulating everywhere. Change your transmission fluid every 30,000 to 60,000 miles for maximum longevity. Sounds reasonable, right? Fresh fluid equals longer transmission life. It's logical. It's what we do with engine oil. But transmission fluid is fundamentally different from engine oil, and treating it the same way can destroy your transmission. Here's what most people don't understand. As your transmission operates, the clutch packs inside wear microscopically. This wear creates tiny particles that suspend in the transmission fluid. You might think these particles are contamination that needs to be removed. But here's the critical truth. These particles actually help your transmission function properly. The clutch surfaces develop a microscopic texture that helps them grip. The suspended particles fill in microscopic imperfections and enhance friction. Your transmission adapts to the specific fluid condition over tens of thousands of miles. When you completely remove all this fluid and replace it with fresh fluid, you eliminate the friction characteristics your transmission has adapted to. The clutches suddenly don't grip the same way. Shifts become unpredictable. Slipping can occur. This is especially dangerous on high-mileage transmissions. A transmission with 120,000 miles has been operating with the same fluid characteristics for years. Its clutches have worn to match this exact fluid condition. Suddenly introducing completely fresh fluid with different friction properties can cause immediate slipping and failure. I've seen it happen within 100 miles of a complete fluid change. Perfectly good transmissions destroyed by well-intentioned maintenance. When fluid changes destroy transmissions. Let me share the 3 cases from last month so you understand how this happens. Case 1. 2014 ES 350 with 135,000 miles. The owner took it to a quick lube shop advertising transmission flush services. They completely flushed all the old fluid and replaced it with fresh fluid. Within 300 miles, the transmission started slipping in 3rd gear. Within 1,000 miles, it failed completely. Cost to rebuild, $5,800. What happened? The transmission had significant clutch wear. The old fluid, contaminated with clutch material, was providing just enough friction for worn clutches to function. Fresh fluid removed that friction enhancement, and the worn clutches couldn't grip anymore. Case 2. 2016 RX 350 with 98,000 miles. The owner read online that he should change transmission fluid every 60,000 miles. He went to a shop that performed a complete power flush, replacing 100% of the fluid. Within 2 weeks, harsh shifts appeared. Within a month, the transmission was in limp mode. Cost to rebuild, $6,400. What happened? The power flush dislodged debris that had been harmlessly settled in the pan and filter. This debris circulated through the valve body, clogged narrow passages, and caused solenoid failures. Case 3. 2013 GS 350 with 142,000 miles. The owner's mechanic recommended transmission service. They drained and filled the transmission twice in 1 week, attempting to remove more old fluid. The transmission failed within 500 miles. Cost to rebuild, $7,200. What happened? The double drain and fill removed too much of the old fluid too quickly. The transmission couldn't adapt to the dramatically different friction characteristics. Clutch slipping led to overheating, which caused complete failure. All 3 owners thought they were doing the right thing. All 3 destroyed perfectly functional transmissions. The right way to service. Lexus transmissions. So if complete fluid changes can be dangerous, what's the right approach? First, understand that Lexus transmissions fall into 2 categories, those that need periodic fluid service and those that don't. For transmissions that need service, the key is doing it correctly at the right intervals. The correct method is simple drain and fill, never power flush. Here's why this matters. A simple drain and fill removes only about 40% of the total fluid. The old fluid remaining in the torque converter, valve body, and cooler line stays in place. This gradual approach maintains friction characteristics while refreshing enough fluid to remove accumulated contamination. It's the perfect balance. The procedure is straightforward. Remove the transmission pan drain plug or drop the entire pan. Let fluid drain completely, which takes about 10 to 15 minutes. Replace the drain plug or reinstall the pan with a new gasket. Refill with the correct amount of genuine Lexus transmission fluid. For most Lexus models, this is 3 to 4 quarts on a simple drain. Total cost: $80 to $120 if you do it yourself, $150 to $250 at a shop. The timing matters critically. For non-hybrid Lexus models, the first fluid service should occur at 60,000 miles. This removes break-in debris while clutches are still relatively new. Second service at 120,000 miles. By now, some clutch wear has occurred, but it's not severe enough to cause problems from fresh fluid. After 120,000 miles, services every 60,000 miles at 180,000, 240,000 etc. 4 hybrid Lexus models extend these intervals. First service at 80,000 miles, second at 160,000 miles, then every 80,000 miles thereafter. Hybrids stress transmissions less because the electric motor assists during acceleration and shifting, when you should never change transmission fluid. This is the controversial part that contradicts common advice. If your Lexus transmission has over 100,000 miles and has never had the fluid changed, do not change it now. I know this sounds backwards, but the fluid must be terrible after 100,000 miles, you're thinking. Yes, the fluid is degraded, but your transmission has adapted to operate with that exact fluid condition. The clutches have worn to match the friction characteristics. The valve body has adapted to the viscosity. Introducing fresh fluid now will change everything your transmission has adapted to over 100,000 miles. The risk of immediate failure is extremely high. I've seen dozens of transmissions fail within weeks of their first fluid change at 120,000 to 150,000 miles. The owners were trying to extend transmission life, but actually caused failure. If your transmission has high mileage and has never had fluid service, leave it alone. Change the fluid and you're rolling the dice with expensive consequences. The exception is if your transmission is already showing symptoms: harsh shifts, slipping, delayed engagement. At that point, the transmission is failing anyway, so fluid service might help or at least won't make it worse. But if your high-mileage transmission is working perfectly, don't touch it. You'll likely cause the failure you're trying to prevent. The power flush disaster. Let's talk specifically about power flushing because shops love to sell this service. Power flushing uses a machine that connects to your transmission cooler lines. It pumps new fluid in while forcing old fluid out under pressure. The selling point is that it replaces 95 to 100% of the old fluid versus 40% with drain and fill. Sounds better, right? Wrong. Dead wrong for Lexus transmissions. Power flushing creates three major problems. First, it removes too much old fluid too quickly, drastically changing friction characteristics and causing adaptation problems. Second, the pressure can dislodge debris that's been harmlessly settled. This debris circulates through the valve body and causes failures. Third, it can't distinguish between good suspended particles that help friction and bad debris that causes problems. It removes everything, leaving you with completely pristine fluid that your worn transmission can't function with. I've seen more transmission failures from power flushing than from any other single cause. If a shop recommends power flush for your Lexus transmission, walk away immediately. The only time power flushing is appropriate is when you're already rebuilding a transmission and flushing the cooler lines to remove contamination, never on an operating transmission. The fluid type matters critically. Using the correct transmission fluid isn't optional. It's absolutely critical for Lexus transmissions. Most Lexus automatics require Toyota WS, World Standard Transmission Fluid. This fluid has specific friction modifiers designed for Toyota and Lexus clutch materials. Hybrid transaxles often require CVTFE fluid, even though they're not CVTs. Check your manual to be certain. Never use universal ATF or fluids claiming to work in all transmissions. The friction characteristics are wrong for Lexus clutches. Never use ATF additives or transmission treatments. These change friction properties and can cause shifting problems. Genuine Lexus transmission fluid costs $8 to $12 per quart. Yes, it's more expensive than generic fluid, but a new transmission costs $6,000. The $40 savings on generic fluid isn't worth the risk. Buy fluid from Lexus dealership parts departments or authorized online Toyota parts retailers. Counterfeit transmission fluid exists and has destroyed transmissions. How to check if your transmission needs service. Instead of following arbitrary mileage intervals, check your actual fluid condition. Most Lexus transmissions have a dipstick, though some newer models eliminated it. If you have a dipstick, check the fluid when the engine is warm. Pull the dipstick, wipe it clean, reinsert fully, and pull it out again. Look at the color and smell. Fresh Lexus transmission fluid is bright red or pink. After 60,000 miles, it darkens to reddish brown. This is normal. If the fluid is dark brown or black, it's degraded significantly. If it smells burnt, overheating has occurred. Either condition indicates service is needed. If you see metal particles or glittery specks, internal wear is occurring. Changing fluid won't fix this and might accelerate failure. Also, check for external leaks. Transmission fluid is expensive, and leaks waste it while allowing air into the system. Fix leaks before they become serious. If your model doesn't have a dipstick, you can have a shop check fluid condition through the fill plug on the transmission. This requires lifting the vehicle but provides accurate assessment. Signs your transmission is already damaged. Before you consider any transmission service, check for symptoms indicating existing damage. Delayed engagement when shifting from park to drive or reverse. If it takes more than 2 seconds for the transmission to engage, internal wear has occurred. Harsh or abrupt shifts, especially when cold. Worn clutches or valve body problems cause this. Transmission hunting between gears at steady speed. The transmission can't decide which gear to use, indicating pressure regulation problems. Slipping, where RPMs rise during shifts without corresponding acceleration. This is worn clutches and indicates serious damage. Whining or grinding noises from the transmission. Bearings or gear damage. Transmission overheating, indicated by warning lights or burnt fluid smell. Overheating causes accelerated wear. If your transmission shows any of these symptoms, it's already damaged. Fluid service might help slightly, but won't cure the underlying problems. At this point, budget for eventual transmission work. The only question is whether it happens now or in 10,000 to 20,000 more miles. The maintenance schedule that actually works. Based on 28 years of transmission work, here's the schedule that maximizes longevity while minimizing failure risk. For new or low-mileage Lexus transmissions under 60,000 miles, first service at 60,000 miles with simple drain and fill using genuine Lexus fluid. This removes break-in debris while clutches are still fresh. For transmissions between 60,000 to 100,000 miles with regular maintenance history, continue drain and fill every 60,000 miles. Second service at 120,000, third at 180,000, etc. For transmissions over 100,000 miles with no previous fluid changes, do not service unless symptoms develop. The risk of causing failure exceeds the benefit. For transmissions over 100,000 miles with regular previous maintenance, continue 60,000-mile drain and fill intervals as established. For hybrid models, extend all intervals by about 30%. First service at 80,000, then every 80,000 miles. For transmissions showing symptoms, service won't fix damage but might slow progression. Use only genuine fluid and expect eventual failure regardless. What you should do. This week, check your service history immediately. When was your transmission fluid last serviced? Has it ever been serviced? If you've never serviced transmission fluid and you're over 100,000 miles, don't start now unless you're experiencing problems. If you're under 60,000 miles or have maintained regular service, continue with simple drain and fill at appropriate intervals. If a shop recommends power flush, decline immediately. Find a shop that understands proper Lexus transmission service. If you're considering transmission service, check the fluid condition first. If it's still relatively clean and red, service isn't urgent. Never let quick-lube shops touch your transmission. They use generic procedures and fluids that aren't appropriate for Lexus transmissions. Trust shops that specialize in Lexus and Toyota vehicles. They understand these transmissions and use correct fluids and procedures. The bottom line, transmission fluid service is a double-edged sword. Done right at the right time, it extends transmission life. Done wrong or at the wrong time, it causes catastrophic failure. The key is understanding that Lexus transmissions aren't like engine oil. More frequent isn't better. Complete replacement isn't better. Newer fluid isn't automatically better. What matters is gradual, appropriate maintenance using the correct fluid at sensible intervals based on actual condition and history. Follow the guidance in this video, and your transmission will last 250,000 to 300,000 plus miles. Ignore it and follow generic advice, and you might destroy a perfectly good transmission at 120,000 miles. The choice is yours, but now you know the truth that shops won't tell you. If you found these tips helpful, be sure to watch this next video as we're sharing insider tips to help you cut repair costs and keep your car running like new.